Hello and welcome to the Apex Coaching Reach Your Apex podcast, featuring coaches and athletes discussing our knowledge and experience of relevant topics to help you improve your health, fitness, and performance. We're coming to you from Boulder, Colorado, and around the world. I'm Neal Henderson, and today I'm here with Coach Leah Linden, and we're going to be talking about gravel race starts.
In 3, 2, 1. Anxiety, keep on trying me. I feel it quietly, trying to silence me. Yeah. Anxiety, shake it off of me. Somebody's watching me. Is my anxiety.
Hey, Neal. Thanks for having me on today. I'm excited. Starting a race might seem simple. Everyone just goes off on the gun, correct?
Well, some races start off like that, for sure, but not every race.
Not every race, but New York City Marathon, gun goes off, everyone starts running. That would be great in gravel, but
It's not really what happens most of the time. So, Leah, let's just, kind of dig a little bit into your background here. You've started a few gravel races in the past 3 or 4 years, right?
yeah, definitely a few.
Like as a estimate number, what would you say?
I've probably done about 50 races now.
Okay. A few, AKA 50. That's very much more than your average bear. And you've been racing professionally now for a couple years, correct?
I have. Yeah, I started racing professionally in 2021 when I entered the Lifetime Grand Prix Series on the gravel side.
Okay. So with those races or others, what would you say the race that you've started with the most number of folks at once, like biggest number of mass start, gun goes off and everyone goes crazy?
Yeah, biggest number would probably be Unbound of 2023 when I did the Unbound 100 actually. And that was the year they had record numbers that entered Unbound. Peter Sagan was actually there. His domestiques were there, and we were all lining up on the same line at the Unbound 100. So I think there were about 2,000 racers in that Unbound 100 race.
That's huge and amazing. And I would imagine probably a bit chaotic at the start.
Definitely chaotic. When we started, it was a fight for positioning. It was so fast. And once we hit the dirt, there were crashes everywhere. Everyone was trying to hang on to Peter Sagan's wheel. And so you can imagine just navigating that peloton. It was so chaotic.
Yeah, that is definitely one of those absolutely wild races. Even if Peter isn't there, it's going to be a pretty crazy start. What race maybe opposite of that had the most controlled, slowest rollout start?
Yeah. Interesting change in dynamic. I would say Gravel Worlds last year, actually in Lincoln, Nebraska, was probably my slowest start of the season. With it being, an all-women start, it was different. It was very different. And, that was really because we didn't have that many women on the start line. And so when you have 2,000 racers at Unbound 100 versus 15, 20 women on a start line, it certainly adds a different perspective and a different dynamic of that race start.
Yeah, and that's a pretty long race too, as well, right?
Yeah, that one is 150 miles. So what is that in kilometers?
250 approximately.
There we go. 250 kilometers. Lincoln, Nebraska. It's hot. It's a long race. So pacing yourself is definitely the key.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to actually rewind a little bit. Before you even started racing bikes, you've done some different sports. In college, you studied exercise and sports science, right?
Exercise science. Yep, we called it exercise physiology.
Yeah, there's so many names: integrative physiology, exercise physiology, kinesiology, and applied physiology. Those are just a few of the different ones that I've actually even been in school, and some of the names have changed while I've been there.
Yeah, that's interesting. The program was great. I went to West Virginia University and studied exercise science, and also played Division I soccer there as well. So had got a degree in pre-med and was also a a Division I athlete at the time. So it was a tough 4 years, a rewarding 4 years, an amazing 4 years. So with a background in soccer, I have now transitioned into the cycling realm nowadays. But
you had a little intermediate step there. So first off, like what position were you in? What Europeans might call football, what we call soccer.
Exactly. So I was a center midfielder.
It's a lot of running.
A lot of running. I loved being in the middle of that field, playing offense, playing defense. But the majority of my career actually was at center back.
Okay.
Playing on the back line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Taking out those strikers.
Exactly.
So I'm trying
it's my personality.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out then this very linear step. You went from soccer to skier cross.
Not very linear.
It happened though. How did that happen?
You know, I drove in a linear line from West Virginia to Colorado.
Straight out. Okay.
How did that happen? Yeah, great question. I grew up playing soccer. I grew up skiing. They were two of probably my loves. And I had the opportunity to, play soccer in school, and that's what I decided to do. But I had always missed the competitive side of skiing. As kids, we grew up doing freestyle skiing, so we were on moguls and aerials. My brother competed in slope style, so we loved catching air, and
going big.
I missed that.
And fast.
Big and fast. So I actually graduated a semester early from university, and my dad and I drove out across the country, moved to Colorado, and said, I want to ski for 6 months. And we skied every day for 6 months and kind of got my skills back, and I ended up racing nationals, USA skiing nationals at Copper Mountain, and won in ski cross. So that kind of trajectory brought me to the Ski Cross World Cup, and went over to Europe and trained and raced. And not linear, but an amazing experience.
That is wild, because then you went from ski cross into triathlon. Was that the next step, or were there some intermediate?
There were some intermediate
transitions.
Yeah, after ski cross, because I wanted to come back home. I was in Europe for a while, and silly me, I was like, you know what? I miss soccer. I want to go back to soccer. So I actually moved down to Florida and played some semi-pro ball down there. And then I realized, I don't really want to play soccer in Florida. It's hot.
Little humid.
Totally different environment than skiing in the Alps.
Hard to think of a more different. There are maybe more different things, but yeah, that's at the high.
Yeah. So after that soccer stint, I actually came back out to Colorado, moved here permanently, and I moved to Boulder. And of course, when you're in Boulder, you're with a lot of active people. And the community that I jumped into was triathlon. So swimming, I would go to the Boulder Res at 5:30 in the morning and swim with that group, and got to know a lot of people through that. So that was my introduction more so to a competitive side of triathlon. I would say that I've done a lot of youth triathlons in my lifetime as a kid, but this was kind of my, okay, what do I want to do next? I love sport, and triathlon seemed to be that trajectory. So I actually signed up for a full Ironman.
Wow. Most people, it takes a few years to get ready for an Ironman, but
Yeah,
you take, the fast track.
Yeah, this was 2018. I decided, all right, I'm going to go do a hilly Ironman. Might as well make it difficult. And I actually signed up for the Mount Tremblant Ironman in 2019. And that was my goal for that year was, can I do an Ironman? Can I finish it? Can I do a good time? And can I stay injury-free?
Mm-hmm. Those are kind of key elements to success in that trajectory.
For sure. Yeah, and at the time as well, I was actually not living full-time in Boulder. I was living half the time here in Boulder and half the time in Maui, actually. So that triathlon, getting into that community and learning what it was all about, those are two places that will show you all that.
Definitely expanded that endurance, and then kind of took out two of the sports and really found the bike to be that place now.
Found the bike. I love the bike. I love swimming. I love running, but I love being competitive on the bike. And when it comes to especially a full Ironman, you got to be a good runner. You got to be, if you want to be competitive. So I'd swim for cross training. I love to bike, and that's where I am today.
Awesome. Well, gravel race has, again, there's some similarities to the way triathlon are in these different race start formats. And so we're going to kind of dive in here and just talk about these common race starts. So the first, as we talked about in the very beginning, is just that mass start. Everyone is doing the same course, starting at the same time. These are the kind of wildest starts, often just because everyone at all level, whether they're there competing for the win, elite professional, amateur, competitive age group, to folks that are there looking to just try to accomplish a big goal and finish some of these major races. Unbound 200, that's a massive event. 200 miles on a bike is crazy, in a way.
Yeah, and there's almost 4,000 plus people on that same course,
which is wild. And so mass start racing is kind of that super, super classic start. And that's what you see, some events doing. We're now definitely seeing increases in some different types of starts. After the mass start, I would say, is kind of like wave start is the next most common. And those waves often are going to be divided out into, say, like the pro and elites. Sometimes there may even be different starts between men and women there, and then different like age groups in that breakout. Some races, it might be different distances of the courses, starting at different times in waves like that. Like the Steamboat Gravel over the past years has had 4 different race distances and 4 different starts for those distances. But it's kind of like a mini mass start within each of those waves.
It is. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. And then we have some other starts that are like a rolling start. This often comes more when you have an event that has timed segments, not the entire start and finish as the time, like a mass start. Usually that's the start line, and then there's the finish line that you come back to.
And the first one over the line is the one that wins. So.
Yeah. Where with the segment racing, there's certain sections of the course that have a start and finish that is timed, usually in an electronic manner in some way, but you can start whenever you want. There are some of those segment races, though, that also do start all together as a mass start. So these different events, you're going to find clearly a few different options. I'm trying to think, are there any other weird start formats that you've seen? In triathlon, I've done time trial starts where it's somebody starting every 5 or 10 or 15 seconds like that. I haven't done a gravel race yet with a time trial type start.
I haven't either. The first time segment race that I was actually at Mount Tremblant, the Ironman. And it was, you could go off and self-seed yourself. And I knew I was a good swimmer. So actually, I wanted to get into the water somewhat first to have some clean water. And I found that kind of interesting. But at the same time, now that I'm in gravel racing, recently last year, I went to the Stettinus Pay Dirt, and that was a time segment race, and so cool. I actually really grew to love that format of racing because you can certainly put yourself in a position to capitalize on your strengths, and I think it's just a really cool way to start the race.
Absolutely. And I think there's just opportunity and experimenting. You're going to find different things, different events you go to. Certain things, Unbound, you're going to have that mass start, that chaos and expectation. Pay Dirt, totally different.
Totally different.
And then like Steamboat Gravel is
Wave
yet
start.
a little bit different. And now you also are seeing, some of the different men's and women's pro races starting at different times, and then the amateur races starting differently. So each of these types of starts have some, challenges associated with them and opportunities. From your perspective, I know, again, you've been in it and in different ways seen what happens. I think one area there's a lot of discussion these days right now is within separate women's starts and how that impacts the racing itself and what happens. Overall, I think it was just last year that the Lifetime started having these separate men's and women's pro starts, right? At Unbound, was that the first?
Last year was kind of the first year that they took this separate start and put it into fruition, right? They Sea Otter Classic, which is always kind of the start of the season for Lifetime, or just for, it's one of the biggest bike expos in the world. So kind of the start of the season, that separate start as well. But the biggest one that we saw as a change was Unbound. And having those separate starts was, it's an evolving dynamic. It's the hot topic right now of, women starting separate, men starting separate, and then kind of the amateurs after the elites. And I think being on the start line for so many of these events, it's really, really cool to see the change and the direction that these organizers are putting to the test.
Yeah, and there are examples outside of gravel where we've seen some things changing over time. The Ironman World Championships for so long were in Kona, and mass start event, all men, all women, one day, one start, there it is. Several years ago, they made a significant change in separating not just the elite men and women, which, they first started women's only race, separate start, but all women, pro and amateur, on one day, and then all the men on a separate day. And now they've actually gone to two different locations for the World Championships for Ironman, for men in one location and the women in the other. And they're rotating now that they've gone back and forth between the Kona still is one of those race places, and then Nice in France. And so it's really interesting. It does definitely impact the dynamic of how those races play out a little bit. And within gravel, I haven't seen any races yet that have a different day. Actually, UCI World Champs.
Last year, UCI World Champs, they did it on a different day. And so men had one day, women had the other day.
Okay, so they've moved to that style.
Yeah, and I think in those bigger races, I think it should be mandatory, at that UCI level of, okay, we want to watch the men race, and then, either the day before, or the day after, we want to watch the women race and have a true women's race.
Yeah, when that doesn't happen, when everyone starts together, there's clearly some impacts in the way the race dynamics occur. You're going to have
absolutely.
You're going to have some different both skill sets, comfort level, and tactics being employed if you are in an absolute mass start race. So somebody who has a lot of group, mass start race experience, skill set, and really punchy might find that they're able to kind of stick with that front pack of even the pro men and have a completely different situation occurring in the first half an hour of the race, versus you might have a very strong racer who isn't as confident in a very large group or as aggressive, or really with that explosive kind of, punchiness that might be required to stay at the front of a big race.
Absolutely. And I think with the mass starts, especially, like you said, the skill set, the
strengths,
the strengths, and for me being a female in the peloton, a strong racer, I tend to not take a lot of risks sometimes when it comes to a mass start, when I'm grouped up with a whole bunch of men that are aggressive, that are maybe they don't have the skill set to bike handle on dirt the way that maybe I do. And so I think there's a lot of thoughts that go in my head kind of when I'm at that start line. I'm like, okay, I'm bunched up. I have hundreds of people around me. Do I want to be in the middle? Do I want to be on the outside? Who's around me? So there are so many things that I think about when I'm at that start line in mass starts in big, big races that certainly can affect the way I start a race and the way my race is going to unfold.
Yeah. And that kind of brings us into then a little bit of like how we're going to manage and prepare for different race starts. Whatever you're doing, what event it is going to have, potentially one of these types of starts, a mass start, a wave start, or a rolling start. And so how you actually plan and prepare definitely does vary. So if we go to the just super classic absolute mass start, all people are at the line
one time,
and the gun goes off one time,
Go.
and everyone goes the same distance and comes to the finish line. Like, what are your kind of thought process in a mass start event just like that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I think about first is how big is this race? So if we're talking mass starts, right, it could be a smaller grassroots race. It could be an Unbound. It could be a Traca. It could be a Big Sugar, these bigger races. So I think that's the first thing we have to look at is how big is that mass start? How big is that race? So that you can put a tactic together for yourself and say, okay, this is what I want to execute. And if I'm going to, let's talk grassroots first. Grassroots that's typically a first year event. It's smaller. They're trying to get their name out there, and there could be, let's just say, like 250 people that sign up to do this race. And it's typically one distance, maybe two distances. And when we talk about mass start there, that makes sense. To me, that makes sense. I mean, put everyone together. Let's all ride the same course. The course may not be as long as, a 10, 12-hour race. So I think when we're talking mass start there, for me, I'd get up early. I'd get to that start line and know that, okay, this is my course. This is where the hill is, or this is where I want to attack. And a lot of that goes into studying that course and figuring out where you're going to make your move. So I think for me, when it comes to a mass start and a grassroots, everyone's going to be together. You're going to have men to work with. You're going to have other women to work with. And that obviously is dependent on that course. So grassroots, mass start, put them all together. I think it's a great way to have that event feeling, or just everyone gets a feel for the event.
Yep.
And gravel's all about community.
All together, exactly. Yep.
But if we want to talk mass starts for bigger races.
I think, there's a few things that I think about. Number one is just like realistically, like, what is your goal with this event? Are you there to compete? Are you truly trying to get to the sharp end of things and are competitive in that way? Or are you there
to complete it?
Get that accomplished. Get to the finish line. I mean, an Unbound 200, I've never done it. For sure, my number one goal is get to the finish line, number one. And number two, don't get hurt doing it. And number three, maybe go as well as you can, relatively speaking. But I wouldn't be there trying to win it personally.
Yeah, and like we like to say, the spirit of gravel, it's the party, or it's the racing's in the front and the party's in the back. And that's kind of always been the gravel motto.
Exactly. Even a lot of these events, again, they are listed as a race, or there is a racing element, but the majority of folks are not necessarily competing in that cutthroat, for the front way. And that's okay. And so when you think about the start and where you position yourself, well, number one, kind of cruising towards the back, giving yourself that little bit of,
extra space
and not being if you line up on the front line and you're just there, kind of cruising along, it's going to feel scary as people are rolling by you at 20, 30 miles an hour in some of these races early on. So it's you don't want to be there,
Like I said before, it turns chaotic.
Yeah.
It can turn chaotic very quickly.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember my first Steamboat gravel race, Steamboat Black. And, oh gosh, I can't remember what year it was. I think it was 21, to be honest. And probably my biggest mass start in a gravel race. And you start out on the road and you're like, okay, this is good.
And it was listed as a race neutral start.
It was,
There's a police car at the front going at a certain speed. Now, race neutral often means this is full gas and everyone is lined out going insane speeds. Occasionally, it's going to be an appropriate neutral controlled pace, but more often than not, I found race neutral means it's insane.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Neal. I have been in a lot of races, and anytime they say a race neutral, don't believe them.
Yep. Ned Gravel a couple years ago, 21. Actually, I was in that doing the shorter distance, and they had a car rolling out. We're going uphill at 20 miles an hour at like 9,000 feet of elevation. I look at my power, and I'm like in the draft of the car, and it's like 350 watts. I'm like, this is not going to end well. Like, I'm going to explode in about 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. That was like going up to Rollinsville, right? On that road. I mean, whenever the race starts on the road, I don't know what it is. That car just likes to speed up and see if
20 miles
who can
an hour
hold
slow
on.
in a car. I mean, a bike going uphill at 20 miles an hour is pretty darn fast.
Yeah. So I guess going back to my steamboat story, I think we were cruising around that 20, 25 miles an hour going up the hill, up along the airport.
Yep.
And you make that left-hand turn and there's bottles everywhere on the road. Everyone's fighting for position to go downhill into a left-hand gravel turn. And let me tell you, when you're in a mass start with people that may be a little bit more novice than you, it gets sketchy.
Chaos ensues for sure.
Yeah.
And so again, if you're a skilled racer, being up closer to the front is way better. If you're in the middle of the chaos, it is a scary place. I've
on a
had
swivel.
races where I'm just going to back off right now because literally I'm not there to compete anymore. For whatever, especially if you've had a mechanical or something like that, or just the whole goal of that event is just to get to the finish line, I'll back off because, the dust storm, the chaos,
all of
the
it.
bottles, people crashing. It's just like, I don't need that. Like, that's not going to help me get to the line.
Just some advice that I have taken some time to learn. A faster race is someone that's upright, not on the ground.
Yep.
So slow it down sometimes. Take it a little bit easier in sections that may seem uneasy because you're going to be faster in the long run as long as you don't hit the deck.
Yeah, not crashing is generally faster than crashing.
Generally.
Almost always. There's every now and then.
Keep it upright. Keep that rubber side down.
Yep. So that mass start, where you start definitely is a big part of it, and how you manage, again, relative to what your goals are. What about a wave type of start?
Yeah, wave starts kind of get into that separate start, right? Talking about separating the elites, separating the amateurs, but
Men,
a wave,
women, or some combination of all of those.
Yeah, all of the above.
Sub waves. Sometimes you have a lot of different smaller waves with shorter amount of time between each of those starts.
For sure. I think the wave starts, especially if we're going to talk about separating men and women starts again, the biggest thing I think about when I show up to a race and I know it's going to be a separate start, I know it's going to be my own race. I know it's not going to be influenced by a mass start of men or anyone coming through. And as women, we're able to have a true women's race, which is incredible. You get to race against other women that are in that field. You know where you're at. That's one of the biggest things in the last few years. I would show up to these races, and especially going back to a mass start, I wouldn't know where I was in the race as a female. I would have all of these people, either around me or passing me or dropping off. And I'm like, where am I? Am I first? Am I last? Am I in the middle? So having these separate starts, you're actually able to see where you're at in the field, know when to go, when not to go, racing again against the talent that you came there to race with. And that's not just women, right? That's the elite men field too. And not having amateurs influence that race. I mean, this past year at Unbound, it was elite men were first, 15 minutes, then the women's, and then it was 25 minutes to the amateurs at Unbound 200 this past year. And there's been a lot of talk about that time gap, having a wave start, but with these time gaps on the race course. Now, I think that's so. Last year we had the most beautiful day at Unbound 200. There's been so many years that are muddy, monsoon. I mean, I remember the year before we had, a 10-mile MMR road and everyone carried their bike and it was just monsooning that day. It was crazy. So last year with it being so fast, so dry, that changes, I think, sometimes the time differences between a men, women, amateur start. But I like the wave starts personally. And as a female in the pro peloton, I love it. I love it. I mean, there's been so many races this past year, and I'll specifically say the Lifetime Grand Prix Series because that's what my main focus was last year. All those races, we had separate starts. And like I said before, lining up with the people you are going to race with, that's what we look for every single race. I mean, we're not there to race the men. They don't stand on. I mean, they don't stand on the podium with us, and why not make our own category competitive? And when you also have these separate starts, what I've seen is more women come to the race. Elite men show up for the race. It just ups the level of competition, and it just gives you a heck of a day out there. And we can test our limits against each other. We can work together. That's one of the biggest things. I am relatively new to racing. However, you look at road racing, you have teams, right? You got people that work together to chase down an attack, to make a break, you name it. Gravel's getting there. And I think having these separate starts, we're able to see a lot more tactical movement within the technical skill. And so I'm loving it. I am a huge advocate for these wave starts. And I think timing wise, I think we just need to look at course weather. A lot of times, if it's windy out, you can't have 25 minutes. I mean, those poor amateurs,
Yep.
I think
what the temperature is going to be on the day. If it's like an hour later start, actually, from like the elite men to the amateur men, that can be a difference.
Yeah, and again, we've talked about Steamboat a couple times, but amateurs went off at like 9 a.m. Yeah, I can't remember. Was it last year?
The blue start was much later than the black start. Which, yeah, it was a lot hotter. And
it was so hot. Yeah. By 1 o'clock, I mean, it is cooking out there. So I think there's so many factors when it comes to wave starts relative to a mass start, right? That event organizers need to factor in because
for their event, what really is the best setup and offset.
Exactly. Because there's, you could make a time difference between all of those categories, but at the end of the day, people are there to come to your event. They're there to they want to have a really good experience. That's one of the biggest things in gravel. It's about that experience. It's about that community. And when you have, let's just say, 40% of the people that sign up and don't finish, I mean, it's just, that wasn't the right choice that day.
Yeah, that's definitely less than ideal. Well, that other style then, like the segment format races, where again, you might have a rolling start or a mass start, but only certain sections of the course are then timed and the results are based on that. I find those events to be really cool. I've done a couple. The one that I've done a few times is used to be the unpaved of the Susquehanna River Valley. Great event, and it's a rolling start, so you get to choose whenever you want. And then there's the certain segments, depending on which course you're doing, that are timed. And, those times then get added up and you see a ranking at the end. So while you're out there riding, I mean, you might be on your own, you might be with some other folks, you might see a whole mix of things, but it's a really cool way of experiencing that race. And then in between those segments, you can kind of go at a moderate. You can go fast if you want. Like there are some people who still try to go fast overall for the entire course, even though that's not like how the results are. But like there's different ways that you can then structure, really, choose your own adventure in a way with the segment racing. I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, have you ever lined up at a time segment race at the last second, go off within the time parameter?
A couple years ago, I decided, I'll start a little later. I didn't want to get up as early. I was staying a couple hours away almost. And so I was like, I'll just start late and I'll be able to go fast enough. And I think I took a little extra time. I might have had a crash. And one of the checkpoints, they had a closing time, and I was actually like really close to their closing this down as I got to it. And there's a big loop that you have to do, and I honestly didn't even have time to refuel. And
oh boy.
Yeah,
when Neal doesn't refuel, guys, it's not good.
Yeah, I get grumpy too. And so, yeah, it was less than optimal. And by the time I finished the lap, they had already pulled everything down. And so I had no more fuel again till the next aid station, which was another 10, 15 plus miles. And so I was definitely on the struggle bus.
Were they wondering who this guy was, pulling into the next time segment? Like, where have you been?
Yeah, they were kind of looking. They're like, you shouldn't keep going. I was like, well, I'm gonna, because I can do it. I've done it before. I know the course. I'll be able to get there. I got it on my computer. I can get to the finish line.
Yeah, this is the beauty of the time segments, is that you can look at what the segment is and map out, okay, how long is this segment going to take me? Or you can look at who's done it the fastest.
Take a look on Strava, who's done it.
And this is kind of where like that QOM, KOM, segment chasing has evolved from, because it's really fun to kind of test what you got against who the fastest people are. And you can make it your own race too.
Yeah,
with time segments.
Yep.
And if you're just you want to race against your goal, you can do that by, you cross over one mat and you end on the other mat. And if you did it faster than you thought, then kudos to you. But that's one thing I love about the time segments, is you can self-seed yourself and you can go at the front right when the timer starts and try to stay with that front group, which is a really good tactic sometimes.
Yep. Can help you.
It can help.
If they're way over your level, though, it's probably not ideal.
Then you're overexerting yourself. Yeah. Or you can go in the middle. Sometimes you can team up with some people that are also in the race and ride with them. Or you can start in the back, kind of like Neal, 1 second to go, start your timer and have your own race. Just battle against the clock.
Exactly. Get done before the sun drops in some cases.
Yeah. Me being a skier too, I like racing against the clock. So if I can put my head down, I know what the course is, it's game on.
Do your thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what would you say are maybe biggest mistakes that somebody could avoid for the different race starts, just kind of thinking ahead and looking ahead? So a mass start race, what would you say, kind of key thing maybe to avoid making a mistake?
Yeah, mass start, you do not want to get to that line late in a mass start. I think that's one of the biggest thing. I kind of laugh a little bit because these mass starts races are usually pretty big races. They're usually longer races. And nowadays, they're starting at 6 a.m. Before the sun even comes up, and people are camped out there at 4:30 in the morning because they want to be on that front line. But
how do you warm up for that then? What have you done?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I don't know. Bicycles in my bed, laying on my back, getting things moving. 4:30.
Spare bike and trainer outside the corral, the start corral. Have you ever done that? Have somebody hold your bike and you go out and ride the trainer. I've seen it. It happens. People do it.
Yeah, I am certainly a huge advocate of the trainer. Get the body warm, get moving. If you have a trainer outside right by the start line, amazing. I think it's one of the best things you can do, because you're right at the start line. You kind of see who's funneling in, who's getting there. And if you have the ability to just be right there to get off your trainer and kind of get in line, then you have that opportunity. But also, if you don't have a trainer, getting out a little bit earlier after breakfast and just getting things moving. So for me, I like to stay a little bit further from the start line. Like if I at a hotel or we tow around a camper.
Yep.
So at the campground, getting on the bike and pedaling to the start line, having a few openers here and there. I think that's a huge advantage. A benefit that will help once you get to that start line. Your body's ready to go. And
yeah, I've had some folks that are like doing their first really long event sometimes, and I have a little warm up in there, and they're like, but I'm like doing the biggest thing I've ever done. It's like, yeah, but it's going to start off kind of fast, and you don't want that to just be a total shock to your system. So being able to, do a little bit of warm up and get yourself positioned, I think 2 huge things for especially those mass start.
Absolutely. And I think also the profile of the start, sometimes when it's flat to go to start with, you can get away, I would say, a little bit easier without a true warm up. But let's just say, for example, Crusher and the Tusher. You better have a warm up because you're going straight up in the first 5 miles, and you want to be warm because when you hit that dirt, it's going to be game on.
Yep. That would be an absolute shocker if you're not warmed up in some way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. On a wave start then, one of the biggest things is just knowing those time starts and differentials and what's going on. Just having that situational awareness is some part of it.
Absolutely. I think also the wave starts give you an advantage to knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses. I honestly, in a wave start, because you're going to be with your category, it's kind of nice to start in the back, see how it starts. What are people doing? Can you move up? How do you navigate a pack? If you're good at that, keep it calm, keep it steady, and work your way up. I think that's a good technique when it comes to categories. Now, specifically, usually I would say that the women's field tends to be smaller than the men's. So that may be a little bit differently, and you can add some insight there when you're in the, men's field.
Yeah, it can be a little bit different. And I know I've had the intent of starting and just kind of doing nothing, AKA like sitting in the group and conserving
Rolling
energy,
with.
and then that plan goes out the window because things have changed. And so having
those neutral starts, Neal.
Exactly. Quote unquote neutral. Having a plan is good, but being able to then adjust your plan based on what is happening on that day is kind of one of those things. You just gotta be flexible.
Yeah, and I think you just need to know what is your plan. What is your plan? How are you going to execute your plan? And sometimes the plan doesn't go as you want. Sometimes when you're at that start line and who knows, you didn't bring enough gels, for instance. Oops. You got to roll with the punches. And don't let that get you down, because you can sit in, you can conserve that energy and just know, okay, how can we execute the next part of my plan?
Exactly. That's really a key part of it here, that you're just having to have some planning and then some flexibility in adjusting to the situation as it's happening.
Yeah.
All right. Well, any other things on these gravel race starts that you'd want to share with folks for people to think about as they're getting ready for the season to begin and they maybe have some of their bigger events coming up? Any, top tip for them? Yeah.
Let's see. I am not a person who will wake up for 4 hours before a race, especially when the race starts at 6 a.m. I think that's so hard. But getting a really good breakfast in before these events, I would say even a really good dinner,
Like
get a
day
good
before or evening before.
Dinner before, hydrate. Even though it might be cold out there or it's going to be hot, just getting those extra electrolytes in the night before, I think, is huge. And I've actually learned that if I put electrolytes down before I go to bed, I'm more prepared for that next morning to be topped off, essentially,
Yep.
and know that I have a little bit more in the system for this race. So eat a good breakfast, and then that warm-up, I think, is crucial, getting to those start lines, whether it's a mass start, whether it's a wave start, whether it's a rolling start. I think you need to prepare your body for whatever event that is that you're going into that next day.
My big tip would be make sure you read through what the rules are for the event and how things are going. Are there any time cutoffs that you have to make, or any other things that are just from the logistics side that, like, going to the pre-race meeting the day before, or sometimes 2 days before, is really important, just to know situationally how things are and what you need to do for that specific event, especially if you've done a lot of events. I've done hundreds and hundreds of different events, and so it's actually
Neal's
important.
a lot older than me.
Yeah, and definitely sometimes I've made mistakes as I'm making an assumption based on what I've done previously, and this a given event might be operating a little bit differently. So sometimes they close off those corrals 30 minutes beforehand.
They do.
And it's like, oh my gosh, if you're not there, like, now you're in trouble.
Yeah, and then you're having to, like, carry your bike
over hundreds
all
of
these
people's.
people.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Nobody's psyched with you
does
at all.
not work.
You've lost any potential for making new friends that day usually.
Oh my
in those
gosh.
kind of situations.
They're like, oh, that person, he cut us in line, you know. Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's
and it makes your sponsors look bad, or whoever. If you're wearing your jersey, geez. So yeah,
get to that line
know
on
the
time.
rules. Yep,
Get
know
there
the rules, know
early.
the situation, and everything goes a whole lot smoother.
Yeah, I love that I talk about food and Neal talks about, tactics and strategy and rules, and you know where we lie.
Yeah.
I'm like, put the food in. Neal's like, when's the next turn? Know your course.
Yep.
But
Well,
hey, there's got to be both of us.
a little bit of both for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that is a wrap for this episode of the Reach Your Apex podcast. Thank you for tuning in. We're here on YouTube podcasts, Spotify, and iTunes podcasts. You can also connect with us on our social platforms on Blue Sky, Threads, Facebook, and Instagram at Apex Coaching Co. for more endurance insights and training tips.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed today's episode, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend who's chasing their own peak performance. And of course, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new drop. Until next time, keep pushing your limits and strive to reach your own apex.
There it is.
There it is.
Party people! Yeah! Tag team music in full effect. That's me, DC, the brain supreme. And my man Steve Rowland. We're kicking the flow. And it goes a little something like this. Tag team, back again. Check it, direct it, let's begin. Party on, party people, let me hear some noise. DC's in the house, jump, jump, rejoices. There's a party over here, a party over there. Wave your hands in the air, shake the dairy, yeah. These three words mean you're getting busy. Whoop, there it is, Hitman.